Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Canada. I hope everybody has had a great week and is looking forward to a fantastic and productive weekend. In this class, everyone, we are looking at IELTS Task 1 writing. Specifically, we will look at some pie charts and we will plan and write a Band 9 essay together for the academic Task 1 of the IELTS exam. The general version of the test, of course, is a bit different. It's letter writing. If you need that, we have resources for you. Welcome, Jaineel. This is a members chat class. Everybody is welcome to join. Simply click the join button next to the subscribe button on our channel page. If you do not see that, let me know. You can send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. While we wait for a few more members, this class is presented to you by aehelp.com. That's academicenglishhelp.com and IELTShelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. On both of those websites, we have lots and lots of materials for you to improve your writing, including professional editing services, as well as videos, practice exams, and help for all the other sections of the IELTS exam. This is the academic version of our website. Click that big red button to join our premium package. We are an IELTS registration center for the British Council and certified British Council agents. The General IELTS website, if you're looking for Task 1 General IELTS, you can find lots of resources here for that. It's gieltshelp.com. Again, click that big red button to join the premium package there. Hi, Paulo. Hi, Rashika. Welcome, June. Nice to have you all coming into the class. Again, you can get our apps, Academic IELTS Help. The app links to aehelp.com, and General IELTS Help links to gieltshelp.com. Our apps and our websites work together, and you can keep up with us on Instagram as well. IELTS_AEHelp and GIELTS All right. Fantastic. So today we will have another class a little bit later in 90 minutes that will be listening part 3 and 4. That's a continuation of yesterday's listening test. If you missed that, no worries. You don't have to have that lesson to do today's lesson. Okay, everyone, let's go to IELTS Task 1. Let's look at today's question here. So we've got a good one for you. Last couple of Task 1 classes, we were looking at diagrams. This class, we're looking at pie charts, okay? So let's read this question. Task 1 writing. You should spend about 20 minutes on this task. The following charts show the various methods of watching the news in 2 different years. Report the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Okay, so we're going to be looking at some pie charts. And we have them here. So we have a pie chart with data for 2009, and we have another pie chart for 2019. So these 2 time periods are 10 years apart, or in another way, they are a decade apart. Okay. Welcome, Ali and Nick Hill. All right, and then here we have our legend, which tells us that the blue slice is mobile phones, the orange slice is laptops, the gray slice is tablet, the yellow slice is desktop computers, the light blue is flat screen TV, and the green slice is conventional TV. Okay, great. So we'll take a look at these pie charts in just a moment. Now, before we get deeper into this Task 1, I want to shed a little bit of light on Academic IELTS Task 1 That's really important to know. So these are some foundations. I'm going to go through this quickly. You can discover this on our website as well. It's very important to know this, okay? So there are about 6 different kinds of task 1 questions. Okay, and they are pie charts, line graphs, bar charts. Chart and a graph is the same idea. In British English, they tend to use the word chart more. In American English or Canadian English, we tend to use the word graph a little bit more, but they are synonymous. So graph and chart, they're synonyms. It's okay to paraphrase them. The Brits do use the word graphs, and Canadians, Americans do use the word chart at times as well. Okay, so you have pie charts, line graphs, bar charts. You have diagrams, flow charts, and within the diagrams you have some different kinds, like you have maps, for example, or you have some other types of diagrams like process diagrams, okay? So that's why I said there are about 6 different kinds, because you have a little bit of variance in the diagrams. So you have diagrams which, let's for argument's sake, are process diagrams, and then you also have another type of diagram which is kind of a blueprint or a map. Okay. All right. So the fundamentals for task 1 that you need to be aware of are these different types of pictographical data. Okay, it's pictographical data because it's data represented as pictures, and each of these has kind of a different style of writing. And you'll see why I'm digressing here in a moment. So this is important for today's lesson. So hang with me, okay? All right. So each of these presents information in a unique way and demands a unique type of writing. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. Task 1 is an expository essay for all question types and must be written in the third person objective voice of the author. Okay, so I'm not going to get really deep in all of this. I'm just presenting this to you to make it aware for you, or sorry, make you aware of the fact that you have to understand all of this information to really get a good band score in task 1. I'm not making this up. This is standards of information and standards of essay writing, okay? So this kind of knowledge is usually taught in grade 11, grade 12 classes in many Western countries like the US, UK, of course also in Australia. So it's expected that you have this knowledge for college and university, okay? Hopefully everybody is with me so far, all right? So again, each of these has a unique way of writing. Each of these is written as an expository essay. Expository essay means that it seeks to explain, interpret information for the reader. And it's written in the third person voice. So you want to avoid words like you, I, and even words like we and us. Okay, so don't use those kinds of words in this essay. Don't use those kinds of pronouns, all right? Okay, why did I just say all that? Because one of the biggest mistakes for pie charts is that people tend to write in a way that looks like or reads like a line graph, okay, not a pie chart, okay? So what is a big difference then between pie charts and line graphs? So again, one of the very, very common mistakes that I see among IELTS candidates when they're writing their task 1 for pie charts is they write about the pie charts like they're writing about line graphs. What is the big difference between line graphs and pie charts in the way that they present data? Okay, data is plural, datum is singular. Okay, so Janil says written like a line graph. Yeah, so what's the big difference? What is the difference between looking at data on a pie chart versus looking at data on a line graph? There's a very significant, a very important difference, okay, that you have to understand, okay? So Nick Hill says line graphs are variations over the period. June says line graphs show the dynamic change with time. Yeah. Yeah, Ali says line graphs are continuous. Exactly. So line graphs are designed to show correlations among variables over a continuous period. Okay, so the goal of line graphs are to show correlations, it means connections, among variables. Like let's say, for example, you have a line graph that shows the change in house prices over 10 years. So here you have the variable of time, you have the variable of housing prices, and that change is represented as a series of data points over time. Okay? Pie charts, conversely, okay, are designed to show what? Okay, so we're looking at pie charts today. So members, what are pie charts designed to show? Okay, again, it's a different type of data. And to do well in task 1, you really have to have this clear in your mind before you start writing. So what's the goal of a pie chart? So Janil says pie charts is a specific one for overall data for a time, reason, or others. Okay, Paulo Reese says it's a proportion. Ali says it's a stagnant data. Raghav says it's information without any time dimensions. It's not necessarily true because we do have time periods, in this case, Raghav. So pie charts are designed to show the proportions of variables from a whole within a given context, such as time. Okay, so with pie charts, you have the pie, which is the whole, right? Like a pizza pie or an apple pie, and you have the whole pie, which is the complete data set, right? So you have the complete data set, and then within that complete data set, you have different types of data, and that data oftentimes is nominal data, okay? Nominal data means name data, okay? So in our case, our nominal data are mobile phone, laptop, tablet. Basically, these are just names that we're giving this or these variables, right? At the end of the day, if you think about it, a mobile phone, a laptop, and a tablet are really the same, or desktop computer even. Actually, you might even include all of them here. But mobile phone, laptop, tablet are very similar because in essence, they're all three computers. A mobile phone these days, a smartphone, is a little mini computer in your pocket. A laptop is a bit of a larger mobile computer with a keyboard. A tablet, again, is a computer, mobile computer without a keyboard. So a mobile computer without a keyboard, mobile computer with a keyboard, and tiny little pocket computer. So they're all really just computers, but as humans, we make distinctions among these, of course, and we give them names. So we call this kind of data set nominal data. Okay. Versus line graphs. Line graphs usually show interval data. Like what I said, the cost of houses is measured in dollars. Dollars are interval data. The difference between $1 and $2 is $1. The difference between $2 and $3 is again $1. Those amounts are equal. That's called an interval data. So it's important to understand these kinds of fundamentals as you're going into college and university when you're looking at graphs and charts, because you will see a lot of them in your school, okay? So you have different kinds of data as well. All right, so when we're looking at this here, okay, I'm going to give you an example of why this is important to understand. In 2009, we have 8% here for the light blue, and the light blue in this case is a flat screen TV, okay? And then in 2019, you have 27%. So this 27% is oftentimes what students will do is they'll write a sentence like this. Okay, they'll write, from 2009 to 2019, there was a sharp increase, or I'll give you an even better one. Watching news on flat screen TVs was sharply increasing. Okay, so I'll make it even more of a line graph type of sentence. So this, from 2009 to 2019, watching news on flat screen TVs was sharply increasing, is an incorrect sentence according to academic standards. Okay, this would be correct if we were looking at a line graph, but this is incorrect when looking at pie charts. And the reason why is because we do not have information for the years between 2009 and 2019. So we don't actually have this data between 2009 to 2019. Okay, we don't know what happened here. We have 2019 here, and we have 2009 here, but we don't know what happened in the years between. So it's a false statement, or it's a big assumption to make that there was a sharp increase. It might have been a slow increase. It might have been like this, okay? Or it might have fluctuated for some reason in this part of the world. We don't know that. So it would be false to write that to our audience, okay? Hopefully that makes sense, all right? So then I'm sure some of you are wondering, well, okay, so what is the correct way to write this, okay? Well, we have 8% here. We have 27% here, which is more than 3 times, okay, the proportion, because 3 times 8 is 24. 24 minus 27 is, we have 3% left. So 27 is more than 3 times 8, of course. So for a band 9 sentence, what you want to write is something like, in 2019, proportionally, more than 3 times as many people watched the news on their flat screen TVs as in 2009. Okay, so here is your band 9 sentence that accurately describes data in pie charts. Okay, does that make sense, everyone? Okay, Jainil says more than threefold. Jainil, that would be correct as well. So this is pie chart, this is line graph. Does that make sense? This is accurate reporting of data without making assumptions. This is inaccurate reporting of data making big assumptions. And in science and academics, that would be considered poor interpretation of data. Does that make sense, members? Okay, and hopefully for a lot of our viewers as well. All right. So again, IELTS, especially academic IELTS, it's not just testing your English, it is testing certain basic types of knowledge that's commonly taught in high schools and is required for college and university. Okay? Everybody's got that? Yep, so Nick Hill says, got it. Ali's on board, Rashika. Very good. Okay, so now let's do this. So let's write this essay together. Okay, the start of the essay is the introduction. So for the introduction, what you want to do is you want to paraphrase the question and give it some more details from the graph. Okay. June, there are verbs in the sentence. So the verb is watched. Okay, so we're always writing full sentences, June. You need the subject, verb, object always. It may look like that, June, but it always has the verb. Okay. All right. So for the introduction, the following charts show the various methods of watching the news in 2 different years. Report the main features. So here for the introduction, we just want to paraphrase, meaning write it using our own words and give it details. So instead of saying the following charts, we can write the 2 pie charts. Okay, instead of show, we can write depict. All right, I'm going to write the introduction. You do the same, and then we'll compare it. Okay. So I don't like writing the provided bar charts. I think that's unnecessary. Okay, so various methods. Well, let's do a little count here. We have 6 different methods. Okay. You might list them as well here. It's not absolutely necessary, but you could. Okay. So the 2 pie charts depict the 6 Okay, so that would be my paraphrase or my introduction, whereby I'm using the information from the title, from the legend of these pie charts to give it more detail. And of course, I'm paraphrasing, so I'm not just simply repeating the question here. Obviously, that's not going to get you marks. Raghav says the rendered pie chart depicts the percentage, or sorry, one more time, Raghav. The rendered pie chart depicts the changes in percentage in various electronic devices. Okay, it's watching the news. So be careful, Raghav, of the question. It's watching the news. So devices used to watch the news. I don't see that, Raghav, in your introduction, and that would be a problem. It's a key piece of information. It's the topic of this diagram or this chart. Okay. Ali says the two pies depict the different types of electronics used to watch news in 2 years, 2009 and 2019. Okay, that's better, Ali. Yeah, 6 different. Good correction. Yeah. June says the two pie charts illustrate the 6 different electronic devices people use for watching news in the year 2009 and 2019, respectively. Very good, June. That's excellent. Okay. Deepika says the pie charts depict the 6 different appliances. Instead of appliances, Deepika, I think gadgets is a more accurate word in this context. Gadgets. People used to watch the news in 2009 and 2019. Okay. Nikhil says these two pie charts illustrate the 6 different electronic devices used for viewing the news in the years 2009 and 2019. Yeah, and again, here, it's very good, Nikhil. Here's where, again, a lot of students will make mistakes. They'll say from 2009 to 2019. And that little word from is a big mistake because from would be for a line graph, not a pie chart. Okay. Janelle writes, the two pie charts depict the 6 different ways, comma, namely mobile phones, tablets, desktops, laptops, flat screen, and conventional TVs, comma, used to watch the news in both 2009 and 2019. Janelle, that's good. Watch the 2 commas that I mentioned because you're giving what's called a descriptive additive clause to your sentence. It means that you're adding details which are describing your nouns more, and you need the commas to encapsulate that additive clause. Okay. Angelo says the 2 pie charts narrate the 6 electronic devices that people used for watching news in 2009 and 2019. Angelo, watch your plurals and your verb tense. It's in the past. We're in 2021 now, okay? All right. So depict present tense for the pie charts because they're doing that now, but watched the news because that's when people did that action was in the past, okay? All right, so here we go. The 2 pie charts depict the 6 different mediums used to watch the news in 2009 and 2019, including mobile phone, laptop, tablet, desktop computer, conventional, and flat screen TV. Okay, great. Now, we want our overview. And the overview is basically your main feature or main features. So when you look at the question, and the question says, report the main features, that's basically your overview, okay? So you want to report the main features. The main features, you're doing that mostly visually. So you look at the pictures here, and then you report the main features. What can we say right away? So we can notice something immediately looking at these 2 pie charts. And we can report that. What is that? What do we notice right away? What are the main features? So we don't want to go into the biggest and the smallest, or the smallest and the biggest necessarily. There's something else that we can see. So Ali, don't worry about the green slice so much. I think there's something much more prevalent here, much more obvious and exciting that we can report. Okay. Danielle, because I'm creating a list. After including, I'm creating a list. And in order to create that list, I put the comma after including. So right away, the reader knows that there's a list coming. Okay. Janiel, very good. So Janiel says there's significant variance among the mediums. Instead of variance, I would actually use the word change here. I think that's a little bit better. But yeah, Janiel, absolutely, you're right. So this green slice changes a lot, but so does a lot of the other slices, right? So this blue slice changes a lot as well. This blue slice changes quite a bit. There's even a significant change in the orange and the gray slice. So these mediums experience quite a bit of change from one decade to the next, right? There's a lot of change. Some of them, they become much more popular, like flat screen TVs. And some of them, like conventional televisions, become much less popular, right? So that's our main feature, is noticing that there is a great change in the proportion of the use of these devices, both negatively and positively, depending on the device, right? So that's what's most noticeable here, okay? So that's what I would write, and let's do that together. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this part of my introduction and overview, and I'm going to move it down so we can see it a little bit clearer here. Okay, so let's plop these down here. Okay, so the overview, okay. Okay, so something along the lines of, very quickly, it is noticeable that there are significant changes in the proportions of these devices being used to watch the news between these time periods. Okay, some become drastically more popular while others become much less popular. Okay. All right. Ali says, overall, there are significant changes among the gadgets within this decade. Okay. Not within this decade, but after, a decade after 2009. So Ali, to be more accurate, I would write a decade after 2009. Okay. Because again, we don't see what's happening within the decade. We just see after the decade. So 2009 2019 as after 1 decade, not within the decade. So careful with that, Ali. Absolutely, they will catch you on information mistakes, okay? So the examiners are very meticulous at catching information mistakes, okay? Janil says, immediately it is obvious that there were significant changes among these devices used for watching the news and between these both years. Okay, Janil, again, careful with the between these both years. Okay. Immediately, one can notice that the proportions of these gadgets used for watching the news altered remarkably between the given periods, from one period to the next. Okay, or from 1 year to a decade later. Yeah, it's a tricky one, right? To avoid that misconception of having the reader think about years between 2009 and 2019. So you have to be extra careful in this kind of situation with pie charts, okay? All right, so now we get into the actual analyses, okay? This is where we're looking at the specific data. So here, I'm using my overview as my thesis, okay? So notice here I said some become drastically more popular while others become much less popular, okay? Now, a lot of people here might think, okay, I'm going to write about this green slice first. Conventional TVs, 34% and just 4% in 2019. But I'm not going to do that, okay? The reason I'm not going to do that is because in my overview, I decided to write more popular first and less popular second. Okay? And in the real world, if you're dealing in business and marketing, it's very likely that the industry will be more interested in what has become more popular rather than what has become less popular. So even though that green slice looks like it's the most drastic, it's actually not the most interesting, logically speaking. Okay? That's from my perspective. All right? All right. Paulo, shouldn't it become the past tense? If we're referring to the change, Paulo, then it's past tense, or the years, it's past tense. If we're referring to the graph, it's present tense, because the graph is true now. We can all see it now. But when we're referring to the actual action of watching the news, for instance, then it's past tense because that was in the past. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so here I'm looking at what has become most popular or more popular. Definitely this one here, which I mentioned before for the flat screen TVs. That's very obvious, okay? Another one that has become quite popular are the tablets, okay, obviously. Almost arguably even more so than flat screen TVs. So these are tablets. Number 2, the gray, okay, has become very, very popular. And then we can see that there's a fair bit of increase in the popularity of these here. Okay. So notice how I'm grouping those ones. Okay, and the one that has become less popular, oh, sorry, yeah, this one's become less popular. So I have to be very careful here not to make some mistakes there. Okay. All right. So let me erase that one. So this one's become less popular. Actually, I'm going to go with this one. Less popular. And this one's become less popular. Okay. All right. So of the 6, we basically have 4 gadgets that have become more popular, and then we have 2 gadgets that have become less popular. And this is why you want to carefully look at this and identify your points of comparison before you begin writing the analysis. Okay? All right. So now I can dig a little bit deeper into this and write the body paragraph of the essay, starting, of course, with flat screen TVs, okay? Because flat screen TVs not only become much more popular, but they also make up over a quarter of the total. Yeah, sorry, 1 and 1 here, yeah. Okay, so all I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my sentence that I showed you as the example, and I can just plop that in now. Okay, making sure that I'm grabbing the right one, not the one that describes the line graphs. So the body paragraph is the analysis, okay? Or analyses. Okay, and then I start with the one that describes the first point of my thesis. Okay? Hope that makes sense so far. All right. Just get these out of the way. I'm pretty sure we can all remember those few points of comparison. Angelo says, overall, it is evident that the green slice shows a remarkable change throughout the decade. Some slices increase while some decrease in terms of its percentages. Angelo, that's not going to work, okay? You have some incorrect information. So throughout the decade, we don't know that. Again, it's not a line graph. We cannot see all of those other years, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we don't know what happens throughout the decade, okay? If I were a market analyst, I would say, Angela, how do you know that by looking at just these 2 years, that it's changing throughout the decade? We don't know. It might have stayed relatively the same for 2010, 11, and 12, okay? So be really, really careful with this, students. All right, June says, is it better, or June is asking, is it better if we write 2 body paragraphs, one about the increased popularity and the other one about the decreased one? I don't think, June, that you need to get that granular. We're discussing the changes between the 2 years. That can all go into one paragraph. I think it's quite awkward when students are dividing these task 1s into 4 or 5 paragraphs. It just reads awkwardly, okay? We don't use the word crazily, Paulo, in this kind of context. It's too colloquial, okay? Angelo, again, the green slice is not what we're most interested in. So don't jump on the green slice just because it looks big, okay? All right, so... So here we go. Observing the data in further detail, in 2019, proportionally, more than 3 times as many people watched the news on their flat screen TVs as in 2019, making up just over a quarter in that year, a quarter of the total in that year, okay? All right, that'll be clear. So observing the data in further detail, in 2019, proportionally more than 3 times as many people watched the news on their flat screen TVs as in 2009, making up just over a quarter of the total in 2019. All right, great. So now the other device that experienced something similar is the tablet, right? So here we have a similarity. So similarly, watching the news on tablets became 4 times more popular in 2019, making up 1/5 of the total in that year. Okay, so I'm going to move along here nice and smooth now just to build a little bit of fluency so you can see how I put this all together in real time. So keep up with me, members, and write with me as I'm doing this, okay? Rashika writes, the preference for watching the news from a flat screen was greater more than 3 times in 2019 at 27% as its use in 2009. Okay, Rashika, you need some commas in there, a little bit of correction, but you're on the right track. Okay. Now, let's see, what else increased in popularity? So this one decreased, so actually 3 of them decreased, and then this one increased also, which was the mobile phone, right? So as well, mobile phones also became more readily used for viewing the news, with a change of 11% from 15% in 2009 to 26% in 2019. Okay, now notice something interesting here, everyone, that I'm not really writing percentages all that often. So this is the first time in my analysis that you actually see me really write percents from these pie charts, okay? Again, because a great essay will not just simply report the data. So we'll not say percent this, percent that, percent this, percent that. A person can see that when they look at these pie charts. So your goal as the author is much more to interpret the data, like making up just over a quarter of the total. Okay, so interpreting data is a lot more valuable for your audience than simply reporting percentages. Keep that in mind. Yeah, Ali, you can. So from to, you can, because you're comparing from 2009 to 2019, but you're not comparing the years between. So from and to is okay. Yeah, good question. Okay, all right. So here, depending on how much time I have, if I'm running out of time in my 20 minutes to write the essay, then I'm not going to write too much about the less popular devices, but I can just simply say, conversely, the other 3 devices, and whatever those are, so desktop computer, conventional TV, and laptop, computer and conventional TV all became less popular for watching current affairs after the passing of a decade from 2009. The most drastic change was for conventional TVs, which dropped in popularity from 34% in 2009 to just 4% in 2019. Okay, so depending on how much time I have, I'm adjusting the level of detail that I'm putting into my analyses. If I'm running out of time, then I'm not going to write lots of sentences for the decrease in popularity of the other three devices. I'm just going to group them together and maybe make a mention of the most drastic one, which was the conventional TV. And notice how that's at the end. Okay. All right. So and you can still absolutely get a band 9. It's much more important that you leave about 2-3 minutes before your 20 minutes is up so that you can review what you have written and make corrections as needed. Okay. All right. Rashika writes, the same as the popularity of using tablets was an increase threefold in 2019 at 19% as they used in 2009. Rashika, you definitely have some word order and grammatical mistakes in that sentence, and it's very awkward. So you have to rethink that and rephrase that. Okay. Angelo, you have to say what kind of TV. There are two types of TVs mentioned in these pie charts. One is the flat screen, the other is conventional, and there's a very significant difference between the two. So just saying TV is not good enough. Okay. All right. So I'm going to leave the summary for now. You can think about that on your own. I'm going to review this. So the two pie charts depict the 6 different mediums used to watch the news in 2009 and 2019, including mobile phone, laptop, tablet, desktop computer, conventional, and flat screen TV. Very quickly, it is noticeable that there are significant changes in the proportions of these devices being used to watch the news between these time periods. Some become drastically more popular, while others become much less popular. Observing the data in further detail, in 2019, proportionally, more than 3 times as many people watched the news on their flat screen TVs as in 2009, making up just over a quarter of the total in 2019. Similarly, watching the news on tablets became 4 times more popular in 2019, making up 1/5 of the total in that year. As well, mobile phones also became more readily used for viewing the news, with a change of 11% from 15% in 2009 to 26% in 2019. Conversely, the other 3 devices, laptop, desktop computer, and conventional TV, all became less popular for watching current affairs after the passing of a decade from 2009. The most drastic change was for conventional TVs, which dropped in popularity from 34% in 2009 to just 4% in 2019. Okay, good. I can definitely write a summary here. I'll challenge you to do that. You can email that to me, members. Yeah, Angelo, you can definitely send me your email or your essay, through email. We can give you a free we can give you a free estimate, Angelo, of your score. But if you want to get detailed editing, then you need to pay for that. Okay, and it's definitely worth it. All right, everybody, that's it for these pie charts. Remember the key information that I gave you at the beginning of the lesson about the 6 different kinds of Task 1 questions. Sandeep Kumar, welcome to our group of members. Send me an email, Sandeep, a little bit later so I can hook you up with those videos, exams, and so on, okay? And stick around, everyone. We're going to have listening part 3, part 4, continuation from yesterday, and everybody will be able to join the chat there. You're very welcome, Jainil. Ali, great. Yeah, refresh those lessons for sure. Review them. Great participation, everybody. Good work. Make sure to hang around. I'll be back. Check us out at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. That's it for now, but I'll be back shortly, so hang around. See you in 30 minutes. I'm Adrian signing out from Victoria for now. Bye.